Jeffrey Stinchcomb from HealthSource Plus in Toronto recently presented his list of the 10 best practices of the employee benefits industry at the 2013 Canadian Payroll Association Conference. Canadian HR Reporter TV met up with Jeffrey to hear his insight.
We're talking about the 10 best practices in employee benefits in Canada for best practice practitioners for employers between, say, 25 and 5,000 employees. And so what we're finding is that if you do the 10 best practices, you'll put yourself in the top 5 percentile of practitioners in Canada. But what we find is that most employers do 2 to 3. Right? So what I want to do is help everybody in Canada affect change by doing all 10. So the first one is funding models. That is, am I paying the least possible amount to get the most bang for the buck? Am I paying for experience-rated benefits and pooled benefits in a way that is a best practice? The second is risk management. We're part of the governance team together, and we don't want to expose your firm to risk. So if we can ensure that we're employing the best possible airbags in your program, we know that we have the right product to cover our employees. The third is administration. Most employers are dealing directly with an insurer, but they find that they can get better deals if they buy from different insurers at the same time. And that's why third-party administrators in Canada are probably the fastest growing section of employee benefits. The fourth is the real problem, and that's wellness. How can I affect change within my employee constituency to help lower my cost over time? Stands to reason if I can get 2 people to quit smoking, 3 people to lose 10 pounds, and 5 people to de-stress, that my employee benefits cost over 10 years will reduce. So it makes good sense to employ a wellness strategy. The fifth best practice is service level guarantees. Am I getting the kind of service that I need and deserve? Am I seeing my providers on more than an annual basis? The sixth is value added. How can I get more for less from the insurers? And the insurers are willing to give me things. All I need to do is ask for them. There's all kinds of value added products available to me as the buyer. The seventh best practice is benchmarking and optimization. And this is where I take my coverage and I compare it to my competition. And I say, how do we compare? And then I take that and I compare it to the national average. So we find when I report to my board, I can report as an educated buyer and say, hey, we've got, this is how our coverage compares. We're in the 93rd percentile. We're in the 50th percentile, right? Good governance. The eighth best practice is how we manage short-term and long-term disabilities. So are we using all the best practices in short-term disability, and are we using all the best practices in long-term disability? And how can we align the two to work more effectively within my company? The ninth best practice is reporting. And this is, most clients in Canada today are not getting the kind of reporting that they deserve or need. And so what kind of reporting do I need to effectively manage my benefits program? And then the 10th best practice is something called employee communications. How can I keep my employees as part of the solution as opposed to part of the problem? How do I make them more of a consumer and less entitled? And if we can do all of these 10 best practices together, we're going to put ourselves in the top 5 percentile of Canadian employers. It's easy to do. You just have to have the right partner.